Thank you so much for having me. So I wanted to touch a little bit more on Austin Title and me being there for 20 years. I said how we are a local company, but backed by the largest title company in the world, Fidelity National Title. That's a huge deal because if you ever have a title claim, they usually come 7 years after a house is sold. So if you're there telling your clients to close with a certain title company, and in 7 years, because I've been doing this for so long, I've seen the market change a little, as I'm sure you guys have too. Sometimes things don't go as well as they are right now, and companies leave and go away. We'll still be here. And I've been doing this for like 20 years, right? I keep saying that. I'll be here in 7 more years. So if you need me, I promise I'll be around. Okay, so in those years of being in the business, I've met so many agents, and one of the very first agents I ever met was Tammy Templin, and she was the sweetest, kindest lady. She did not have to take time to sit down with a 20-something, did not know a thing, title rep, but she did, and I have always appreciated that. And she hasn't changed. She's become more and more successful, but she still has that gracious kindness, and I appreciate that so much in Tammy. And so here's a little bit about her. Tammy is an international global luxury agent with Coldwell Banker and a relocation specialist. Upon moving to Austin, she hit the ground running, earning the award Rookie of the Year, and has been a top producer ever since. Throughout the years, she has continued to earn awards and accolades, including the Eagle Award, twice by her peers for offering support and mentoring. Does not surprise me at all. Tammy specializes in the luxury real estate market and focuses on waterfront and golf course community homes. Tammy?
Thank you, Jenny from the lake. I think it's hilarious because when I first started in real estate, Jenny was one of the first people I worked with Fidelity National Title, so this is kind of cool. I want to thank Platinum Top 50 for asking me to do this today, and I'm pretty impressed with all the people that are come before me, so bear with me. This is my first time ever doing this, and you can start the slides. I'd like to talk to you about Waterfront. Some of the things that I've learned over the years that I didn't know, and I thought I could share some of that with you, and hopefully you'll find some value in it. The first question I usually get is, can I have a boat dock? Is a boat dock allowed? So you've got to do your due diligence. Don't just take it for granted that one is floating out there. Make sure, talk with the seller, restrictions, covenants, HOA, before you list that a boat dock is allowed, verify. And if you are buying a property with a boat dock, don't forget to put that and the lift or anything else on the boat dock in a non-realty items addendum. The second thing is always, how far into the lake do I own? Very important. As you see in the slide, there's a lot in between two homes. That lot actually owns into the center of the lake. The other homes do not. So when we get fluctuations in the lake and it gets low, those two homes really don't have the right to pull their boat dock out like the lot does in the center. So that's important. The other thing I wanted to talk about is flood insurance. I didn't know a lot of this and learned it later, and so I want to make sure that I share this with you. First of all, the FEMA flood policies can be transferred from the seller to a buyer, and FEMA simply requires a signature to do this. So you can't let your seller lapse one day or it cannot be transferred. Now, why is this important to your buyer? Because number one, they won't have to get an elevation certificate, which saves them about $300. There is a 5-finger rule. 2 years, they will be grandfathered and pay the same rate for that policy as the seller. Then over the next 3 years, it will gradually increase. At the end of 5 years, they'll be paying market value. So that's a really important thing to tell your buyer. It really saves them a lot of money, and I talk to my sellers about that at the beginning, and I tell them not to let their policy lapse at all. Now, FEMA will cover $250,000 personal and $250,000 for the home and $100,000 for personal. And a lot of these waterfront homes are really expensive, and that's not the best. I mean, it's not a lot. So there is a private flood market. Not all insurers work with private flood markets, so you want to get yourself educated on who does. Private flood markets don't have to accept every property. They go on a case-by-case basis, and they can cover up to $750,000 on the home, and they have a lot more options for deductibles. Now, Farmers insurance, the reason I know about that is because farmers insurance, their home coverage actually covers boat docks, and not all insurers do that. So you want to check out who does that, who works with the private flood insurance companies as well. Okay, let me go. HOA and marinas. When you buy a property and they say the seller is conveying the boat slip, well, you need to find out, does he own the boat slip? Is he renting the boat slip? Here's why. If a seller has purchased a boat slip, there are still going to be fees with it every year. They're going to split up the maintenance cost of that marina with all boat slip owners. So it's not just going to come to your client and be free and clear, and you need to make sure of that. So do your due diligence, find out the size, the cost, the maintenance. If it's a lease, usually the marina owner will take that. This slide here shows you coves. Take a look at that cove. It's nice and full and really nice. And then the next year it can look like this. So when you're selling cove front, it's very important to tell your people that it's cove, and we live in this is a reservoir. This is our drinking water, and if we get a couple of years of drought, that cove's going to go dry. You can send people to lcra.org, and they can look up, you go under water, and then there's a history, and they can see an Excel spreadsheet showing all the water lake levels throughout the years, and it's a really good way to guide people when they're going to buy on the cove. The other thing is find out who owns the water in front of you when you're on the lake, not just the cove. Sometimes if you don't own all the way out into the lake, and let's say you stop at the 670, well, somebody who owns the property in front of you can hold you hostage to lease it from them or purchase that land in order to get your boat dock out. So when selling cove front, you want to get written permission about boat dock. Is it allowed? How far out can I go? Can I float in front of my neighbor's house? Don't just count on people telling you that, verify it. And in one case, around the corner from this particular slide, I had a house listed on Challenger, and I got a hold of the Lakeway Marina who owned the cove and got them to give us this letter. And as you can see, it clearly states where they can keep their boat dock. They're allowing them to have it out. However, when it gets to a certain level, they need to be high and dry, and they do not have the right to float it out. So if you get something like this in writing and you can pass it along to the buyer, there is no question about it. They're not going to come back to your seller and say, hey, you told me this thing never went dry, etc. So do your due diligence. Again, if I can stress anything, it's to verify, ask questions, and make sure. The last part of this is the pertinalis. If you've lived here for a couple of years, you know that it tends to go dry. So if you're selling on the pertinalis, it's important to disclose that to clients. Let them know that there could be some years where their boat dock is going to be high and dry and they can't use it, or the lake level is really low like this slide, and you don't want to take a boat through that anyway because you're going to get all of the vegetation in your motor. So, you know, if I can state anything, it is that your reputation is everything in real estate, and you need to guide your clients and be truthful and honest and forthright. And if you don't know something, I don't know, you know, it's a great question. Let me go find out. But most importantly, let them know it's a wonderful lifestyle they're buying into. Have fun with it. I mean, waterfront, selling waterfront is my favorite thing to do. It is the bomb. You can do it so many fun ways, and your people are happy because they're going to be getting a house on the water. I think that's it, and I want to thank everybody, and I hope you've gotten something from this. That's my little guy in the orange vest, by the way.